Hey guys, what's going on? It's Gunnar here. Welcome back to the channel. It's a beautiful evening out here on the property, on the farm. I'm standing in one of my food plots that is actually newly planted here last weekend. And I'm just kind of analyzing it a little bit here, and I'm very happy with what I'm seeing right now. I'm gonna hold off on those videos a little bit, but today I want to talk about food plots, but not necessarily the blends and the food plotting that I have been talking about lately, in the planting and the seed blends and the method that I'm using to plant all of mine. Today I want to talk about, if you're starting a new food plot, how do you go about that, right? Because all of these food plots we manufactured. We set these plots up specifically for this property. Now, some of these plots are anywhere from 5 to 10 years old, and they've just been tweaked and enhanced over the last 5 to 10 years, like I was saying. But I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about what I would do if I'm first starting out with a food plot, how I'm going to go ahead and implement that onto a piece of property that I'm already hunting. Now, first and foremost, food plots would not be a top of my list if it's the first year that I'm hunting a property. That's kind of a no-no for me, at least personally. I believe that you should hunt that property, understand how deer utilize that property, where they feel secure, where they're wanting to spend time, because that's going to enhance your odds to actually attracting deer to that location that you do put that food plot in down the road, right? So all of these plots, we knew deer were using these specific areas. Now, you want to put a food plot where the deer are going to actually utilize it and hit it, right? And especially during daylight. So you have to be a little bit forward thinking when you're looking to enhance and add food plots to your property, because deer aren't just going to go willy-nilly and hit these plots wherever they're set up. They may, but it's probably going to be after hunting hours, and that's irrelevant, and it's not helping you whatsoever. So what we want to do is we want to analyze this area, make sure that these deer are coming through here during daylight or as close to daylight as possible, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to potentially clear out an area. Now, another thing is you're going to want to go ahead and understand, how can I hunt this? If I do have a food source here, how am I going to come here and hunt this? If it's unhuntable, if the access is bad, if you don't have any good wind directions, this plot in particular is not great for a bow stand setup. It's towards the back of the property, it's fairly intrusive, and there's not a lot of good areas to blow wind. So this plot in general is more of a holding plot, just for late season, keeping these deer on the property into the late season. This is more of just keep these deer here. Now, gun season rolls around, we've got dynamite setups for this food plot. But the main reason I'm using this plot is intel, because nearly every single buck that steps foot on this property is in this food plot, because I have a giant scrape hanging right here, huge community scrape. These deer pound it. It's a huge social hub area. It's an inside corner, crop field, high quality green food plot in the fall time. Great browse, great edge screening. Now that leads me into another thing here with, when you're planning out these food plots, you need to understand, okay, is there anything else that I need to go with it? If you have a wide open area at the back of a field that you want to just make a food plot, well, you got to screen that thing. So we need to be thinking about that side of things too. So before I would go ahead and jump in and start creating these food plots and hoping that deer are going to utilize them, let's create a plan around it, right? All of these were planned out. Okay, we've got switchgrass edging right along here. I've got dogwood shrubs right along here. And I've also got a natural fence line that's just been here. So I'm just enhancing that fence line. I'm making it better with low to the ground switchgrass, heavy cover with that switch, a good buffer, and then I'm adding food value along with it. It's filled with blackberry briars in there. It's an excellent setup to screen this food plot from the field. So basically with this entire setup food plot, I've got bedding down here to my right, heavy bedding, does, bucks, everything in there. Coming to this food plot, this is just a stopping food plot to hold them a little bit longer on the property during daylight, and I've got it screened. So any of the young deer those does and fawns that come out early, that the big bucks don't really want to spend a lot of time around outside of the rut. So when those deer come into here, they're coming out generally a little bit earlier than those big bucks, right? And they transition out to the beans or the corn or whatever it is in this ag field, it's screened off. So those big bucks don't feel that social pressure, that herd pressure. They're coming out all alone. They've got a tight screen here. This is 50 yards wide, maybe not even that. So they're coming into this food plot. They're screened off from any deer out in that ag field. So they feel safe, they feel secure, and they feel like they're comfortable in here. Because the last thing that I want to do is make a food plot that a big buck steps into and he can see all the way down. Or he can see 200 yards across this bean field as soon as he steps into this plot. That's the last thing I want. I want, during the rut, I want him, if he steps into this food plot, I want him to search. I want him to have to go and look for these does. That way I can implement some calling if I am set up in the nearby areas. And then at the same time, I want him screened from other deer when he's not necessarily looking to breed does in the last 2 weeks of October and into November there. So this is the perfect situation. We actually just implemented another strip of switch behind the camera about 100 yards. That's doing the same thing, but on the other hand, that's for a pond. I'm screening all the deer in the field from any deer at the pond. So a lot of this stuff is replicable. We can utilize a lot of this screening technique, the browse technique with our dogwoods, with our blackberry briars. We can do a lot of this on each of the food plots that we have, but at the end of the day, the location is going to determine how frequently those deer hit those food plots, because all a food plot is just to create consistent movement, a little bit more consistency to a big buck's pattern. If you can create that with a food plot, that's all you can ask for. Here in ag country, here in bluff country, deer travel a long distance. Core area is 600 to 1,200 acres. So if you don't have 600 to 1,200 acres, which I'm assuming most of us don't, me included, we have to get creative. We have to shift the odds in our favor, try to set up scenarios where when he does come through, he's spending a lot of time or a lot of time during daylight, that we have the opportunity to go in and kill him. Now, if you can be forward thinking with all of this stuff, you can select the right location, understand that deer are already utilizing that location, screen that area, make it a high quality, highly attractive area because it's got good heavy cover, a lot of food value, maybe it's got native browse along those edges, maybe some fruit trees implemented in there. So it's drawing deer long time throughout the season. Because that's the goal with all of this stuff, is create attraction from September all the way through the end of November, and then even into December in some areas with our habitat improvements, whether that be our food plots, our native browse, our fruit trees dropping. Like I said, I've got chestnuts that are gonna be maturing and dropping into December. August, September, October, November, and December. I've got chestnuts dropping at all times of the year, so that's a consistent movement because there's never a lag time, which you see with acorns dropping, right? If you don't have a big acorn year, you've got deer pounding acorns early October, and then by the second week, they're kind of off of them because they're all gone. So with those chestnuts and with my food plots, I'm trying to create long time frames of attraction, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're planting diverse blends that are attractive year-round. When September rolls around, I'm coming in every week for 3-4 weeks, and I'm adding 100 pounds of rye to each of my food plots. So as that first week rye starts to mature, I'm coming back in and I'm seeding another 100 pounds. So I'm keeping these deer intrigued, I'm keeping them attracted because they have young shoots of rye coming in to go along with my brassicas or whatever else is in my fall blend. But that's what I wanted to go over here today, is pump the brakes on putting new food plots in, because you want to make sure it's going to work out. It doesn't do you any good to go and clear out an area if the food plot is unhuntable, it's not screened properly, the deer don't even really use the area. Just because you want deer to use an area doesn't mean they're going to. So let the deer tell you exactly what they're doing, what they want to do, and then go ahead and improve those spots. Figure out a way to hunt it, be smart, figure out how you can add specific habitat improvements in those specific locations to tip the odds in your favor for next fall.